Hello and what's up guys, it's Shoryuken here, the channel where we discuss all things Capcom. So if you're a big Capcom fan like I am, then go ahead and think about hitting that like button and subscribing. It would mean so much to me. So without further ado, let's get into today's topic and today's video. So as we all know, I like to post a lot of Capcom stuff here, well, only Capcom stuff. And more particularly, I'm a big fighting game fan. I love all of them, whether it be, of course, the Street Fighters, the Darkstalkers, the Rival Schools, the Star Gladiators. If it's a fighting game made by Capcom, then best believe I'm going to be in there, right? But even non-Capcom fighting games like Tekken, Virtua Fighter, I'm into those as well, right? I'm just a big fan of the genre. So naturally, fighting games I think are probably one of the hardest games to get into, right? It's a very niche group in general anyways, and it's, pretty tough to play, right? There are a lot of mechanics, a lot of factors. They can be tough and challenging, especially dealing with other players who have played for a while, and you could at times feel helpless, like you can't do much, and it creates kind of this feeling, and you don't really want to go through it, right? I understand it. Believe me, I do. I still love it. So I don't mind going through that. But for newcomers and people just trying to get in, it can definitely be tough. It also can be tough trying to figure out what fighting game you want to play, what you want to get into. So there's a wide range of them. I just rattled off some. Those are mainly like kind of old school games, but like I said earlier, you got your Tekkens, your Soul Caliburs, your Virtua Fighters. Those are the kind of modern, newer fighting games. So yeah, it's a lot to choose from. Recently, Capcom released the Capcom Fighting Collection. This, for people of my generation, was just an absolute wet dream. It was just a chef's kiss because these are titles that we grew up with and played a lot in the arcades and on consoles when they got ported. Those Street Fighter, your Cyberbots, and of course your Darkstalkers, right? Your Darkstalkers, a lot of them, a lot. I mean, majority of this collection was made up of Darkstalker games, and which is cool. They're fabulous. They're fantastic. And when I posted my video while I was kind of talking about the games, going through them, some of my playthroughs and review I did, I got a question from someone kind of asking, hey, I'm new to the Darkstalker series, and I kind of want to know what's the best game to get into. What do you recommend? Now, full disclosure, I am not a professional player. I am very much a casual player. I do play a lot of fighting games. As I've said, I have, most of pretty much, I want to say every fighting game, but definitely I've got quite a bit, right? I've got quite a collection, quite a library. So I'm definitely a veteran in terms of playing the genre, but like actually, the mechanics and being really good at a game and this and that, I'd say I'm pretty casual, right? I play these games a lot, but I never really got too in deep into the mechanics and details and weeds of the games. But still, I do still have a fair bit of knowledge when it comes to fighting games, right? So I get it with Darkstalkers. It's not exactly one of the popular franchises. It's one of Capcom's games, and I wish they'd go back to it, but a lot of people don't really know much. So if you're looking at those titles, you could be wondering, oh shoot, which one do I kind of play, right? There's, of course, Darkstalkers 1, Darkstalkers 2, Night Warriors, Darkstalkers 3, Vampire Savior, and then there's Darkstalkers 4, 5, or Vampire Savior pretty much 2.5, right? They're like just the same game sent out with small revisions. So there's quite a bit, right? It's like 4, 5, 6 games or whatever. And so it can be, I guess, a little bit intimidating as to which one do I get into. I'll say right off the bat, of course, these are all my personal preferences. It's what I think, what I feel, and by playing these games, which one I feel would be the easiest to play. And I say if you're a newcomer and you want to get into this series, the easiest game I think would be Vampire Savior. Vampire Savior is the third installment in the series. Like I said, it is also called Darkstalkers 3, but I like to just call it Vampire Savior. That for me is not only the easiest one I feel to get into, but I think also it is the best one, right? I think it's the best game out of the series. It's the game for me, right? When I think of Darkstalkers, I think immediately Vampire Savior, right? I don't think about the first and second one, mainly because, especially in terms of the first one, it was their first time doing it, right? Capcom really didn't know kind of what they were doing. They were just putting this fighting game together that was like Street Fighter but had some other weird gimmicky mechanics, and it kind of shows when you play the game, right? I still appreciate it for what it is, but it's a little off. So here's why I think Vampire Savior is probably the best Darkstalker game to get into if you're new to the series. Number one, I think it looks the best, right? Now, for the most part, all the titles look the same. They all have the same 2D sprites. They all kind of animate similar. But the stages do change with each iteration. And there are little tweaks, and even in terms of animation, right? Certain characters do look a little better in the later series and animate better as they have more moves and more stuff. So number one, it looks better. I believe too, it sounds better in terms of like the music. The music in the other Darkstalker games, whether it be the first or second one, it's not bad. It's still good, but I feel Vampire Savior really captures that mood and energy of, you know, what Darkstalkers is all about, right? So music also a huge draw for me. 3, it's got plenty of characters. The first one doesn't really have too many characters. It has your typical standard lineup of characters, but Vampire Savior has a bigger cast, and they're more variety, more wide. There are more things for them to do. Every character plays better. So those are kind of just the things I can rattle off the top of my brain. But I'd say the number one reason why I think too it's the best one to get into is because it is easy. It is the easiest of the Darkstalker games. I'll say it again. It is the easiest of the Darkstalker games, right? The first Darkstalker game is pretty tough. Pretty tough. I mean, you face the first opponent, and a lot of times you will get your ass handed to you, right? It doesn't matter really what level you are, because normally when you play a fighting game, right, there's the obvious level of progression, right? The more you play the game, the longer you get into, the higher you climb in the arcade ladder mode, the tougher the opponents get, right? The first opponent's going to be really easy, same with the second one, and by around the third, fourth, fifth, you start to notice there's a little uptick in the difficulty, and then until the time you get to the boss or sub-boss, you're, struggling, right? Especially if you're new. No, with Darkstalkers, the first one, no, there's no like feed you in. The game is just very brutal. The AI will punish you for a lot of mistakes. You whiff, you're done for. It's really tough. And one of the key things for people who are new to games, especially fighting games, is that they want to feel like they have a chance, right? They want to feel like they're able to do something and produce and commit, right? If you get in there, your first experience is you getting your ass completely handed to you, you kind of don't want to go into it again, right? And I know there's always this back and forth debate about, well, that's how we did it. As I said in my Street Fighter 6 video about, not nerfing things, you gotta understand back then, it was different for us because these games were peak or pinnacle gaming, right? If you wanted to play video games, for the most part, you had to play these titles. Now there's so many games out there, so you can just kind of find and pick whatever's for you, so you don't have to sit there and essentially take the abuse, right? So, you want to be able to do things, right? And if you pop in Darkstalkers 1, I promise you, if you're new, the computer's going to make it very unpleasant for you. Also, the moves can be very restricting. The game is slower. I feel like normally you think slower is good for a newcomer, but I think in this case it's worse, because I feel like with the game being slower, the fight is slower, and so the moves also can kind of come out slower, and it makes you feel just cramped and not good, right? Vampire Savior, it's fluid. It is super fast. The gameplay is lightning. I mean, even when you defeat your opponent, instead of you getting your score and go round 2, no, the game just jumps right into it. You knock your opponent down, the second round immediately starts, right? It just throws you right back in the ring. It's like encouraging you to fight. It wants you to get into the ring and fight. Not to mention the super bars. You get 99 super bars in Vampire Savior. It's like they wanted you to take action, right? They wanted you to have fun and wanted you to commit and do things. Whereas the first two Darkstalkers it's more restrictive. It's more like, okay, it's like Street Fighter 2 with some flashy combos, which isn't bad. Especially the second one. The second one definitely improved upon the first one in a variety of ways. I mean, if you speak to some people, they would actually argue and tell you that the second Darkstalkers game is probably peak Darkstalkers. That's their opinion. For me, it's Vampire Savior. That's the one I really love and think about. But again, it's all subjective. It's whatever you like and prefer. This is just my opinion. So, if you were asking me again which one would be the best to get into, I would then definitely say Vampire Savior, mainly for those reasons I just stated. The game feels easier. It is easier, I should say. The combat, moves, the AI, there's just a very nice flow about it, and I think it's just more pleasant to look at and pleasant to experience. Definitely the first Darkstalkers, I appreciate it, and it's a nice title to go back to and kind of see. But no, I think you're not really missing much if you kind of just skip the first 2 games and go right into the third one. I think you'll get what you need, and you'll kind of feel happy. So yeah, those are my 2 cents, my thoughts on the whole matter on which game is better, or which game you should get into. And I'm just happy to hear kind of questions like that, because I want people to continue to play fighting games. I want this genre to grow. I'm really upset that it's such a small niche thing, but I mean, I get it. But I would love it if it really became, big again, how it used to be. So I'm always encouraged when I hear new people trying to get in, and I definitely want to give my 2 cents and help, because, I'm a casual player, so I can definitely speak from a casual's perspective versus someone who's, hardcore into the weeds and all that. And that's another thing I want to mention too. As I said before, again, I am not a professional player, so definitely you can, the pros can differ and argue and tell me otherwise and say, hey, you know what? Nah, man, the first Darkstalker, maybe the second one, those are kind of better to get into. Vampire Savior might be a little advanced. I don't think it is. I just definitely think it's much easier, it's cooler, and I think it's just overall a much better experience, because that's what you want. You want your games to be fun. You want it to be enjoyable. You want to see the character. And in Vampire Savior, you'll see tons of character. It'll make you chuckle and laugh, and you'll want to do more and experience more. So, again, those are my 2 thoughts, my 2 cents, on the whole matter. But yeah, let me know what you guys think below in the comment sections. If you think I'm wrong, I think maybe the first 2 are better, or maybe you think I'm right, that Vampire Savior is better. Let me know, right? I definitely always like hearing your thoughts, what people have to say. I like getting discussions going, because again, I don't have all the answers. I'm just a regular casual fan. I don't really know everything. I just love these games and want to play them as much as possible. So like, subscribe, share. I really appreciate it. And then if you love this stuff, definitely give it a big thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care and have a wonderful rest of your day.